Welcome back to another episode of In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, CEO of Academia.edu, and as always, I'm here to unlock some fascinating research with you. Today we're diving into a thought-provoking paper by David G. Little. Yeah, you might know him best for his work at the Satyam Yoga Centre in New South Wales, Australia. Now, to be super clear right up front, I'm just here to present the paper as neutrally as I can. I'm not vouching for every claim, just unpacking the insights for us all to consider together. Okay? So the big question at the heart of David G. Little's work is, what are the added benefits of nostril breathing, specifically nasal inhalation, and the biological effects of nitric oxide, or no, and why should any of us care? Well, here's the hook. This paper suggests that something as simple and, automatic as breathing through your nose might actually have measurable effects on your cardiovascular health, your brain, and even your immune system. It's a big claim, right? And the significance here is that so many of us don't pay much attention to how we breathe. We just do it, mouth, nose, whatever. But if there actually are tangible health benefits to nostril breathing, that's something all of us could try out in our own lives pretty easily, huh? So first off, a little scientific backdrop. Back in 1998, nitric oxide became a superstar in physiology. 3 scientists, Ingaro, Murad, and Furchgott, backed the Nobel Prize for showing that no isn't just some random molecule floating around, but is actually a key signaling molecule in our cardiovascular system. No helps relax blood vessels. This process is called vasodilation, so it's really important for lowering blood pressure and even treating conditions like high altitude sickness. That's especially interesting. If you live in a place with mountains, or you're in the Indian Army, apparently, no is now a standard treatment for altitude sickness in their military hospitals, but it doesn't stop at blood vessels. Neuroscientists, again, not me, but folks in the field, believe nitric oxide plays a huge part in how neurons talk to each other, especially for things like long-term memory. So there's this whole chain. A molecule gets released, calcium surges, and that triggers nitric oxide synthase, which releases more NO. And then in places like your hippocampus, that's where your memories are stored. This helps keep the lines of communication open between your brain cells for the long haul, which just blows my mind a bit. Who would have thought breathing and memory could be linked like that? Now, all this is pretty cool, but what does it have to do with nostril breathing specifically? Here's where it gets extra interesting. Research from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, published by the Scandinavian Yoga and Meditation Center, shows that when you breathe through your nose, you actually draw nitric oxide from your nasal sinuses directly into your lungs. No isn't abundant in the mouth the same way it is in those nasal passages. So nose breathing directly increases the amount of NO that gets into your system. Experiments indicate that compared to mouth breathing, nasal breathing increases your blood's ability to oxidize by about 10-15%. That's a huge difference for, not much extra effort. Why does this matter for real people? Well, asthma sufferers apparently could benefit in a pretty tangible way. Breathing through the nose draws NO into the lungs, relaxing blood vessels and bronchioles, and thus, again, maybe helping to reduce the need for medication like corticosteroids. NO levels are easily measured in exhaled breath, so doctors can track inflammation, adjust treatments, and possibly use less aggressive drugs. But, and this is important, it's not all sunshine. Too much nitric oxide can be toxic, and in chronic asthma, there's a weird paradox where high NO levels actually indicate more inflammation. The biology here gets complicated, and the right level of NO is a balancing act. The paper points out that, much like so much else in biology, both too little and too much can cause problems. So, again, not everything you read in a research paper is absolute truth. These are insights, not, commandments etched in stone. Now, here's my digression. Did you know that in some traditional yoga practices, there's this focus on alternate nostril breathing? I mean, I tried it once, but nearly sneezed myself off the mat, so I don't really know if I ever got the full effect. Anyway, back on track. In the end, what should you take from David G. Little's work? Maybe just a reminder to be a little more mindful of how you breathe, the potential for improved blood oxygenation, maybe less inflammation, maybe even small memory boosts. These are possible areas for exploration. But again, I'm not making any health claims myself, just sharing what the research says as neutrally as I can. So, as always, stay curious. Academic research isn't the final word. It's a conversation starter, an invitation to experiment thoughtfully in your own life. Try nostril breathing if you want. Keep an open mind. Talk to your doctor and approach new insights with healthy skepticism. Thanks for joining me on In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, and I'll catch you next time for another deep dive into academic ideas we can all